Welcome back to the show. Well, we have had an insane week because last Monday we had the very first ever Fearless Career Day. This was in partnership with our great friend and colleague Bernhard Karras, who is a coach in Vienna, and he started the community Be Your Own Manager back during 2020. He also has a book of the same title. I am one of Bernhard's biggest fans. I did the coaching program with him last year in Vienna as I work towards my coaching accreditation. And I am so excited to present to you one of the speakers that we had as a podcast episode today. So today's show is going to be Chris Still's talk that he gave us on Monday. By the way, it was like an 11-hour Zoom marathon. It was absolutely insane, and my chair is still imprinted with my body. However, Chris did an incredible talk for us. It was probably one of my highlights of the day, and he talks about the 4% rule, which is how you can move your career forward with just 4%. 1 hour a week is one open door, and you're going to hear it from him because he was on fire, and I absolutely loved every minute of it. So this is just a sneak peek. If you would love the replay of the full career marathon, which I highly, highly recommend, we had 8 speakers, incredible topics varying from sales and marketing to what Chris is talking about, taking action on your portfolio career, to mind-body connection, to the difference between what a booker is and what a manager is and what you need to do to get management. Just so much great information. Just send us a message on Instagram, a DM replay. We will get you the replay for this event. We are definitely going to be doing it again next year as well. So keep your agenda open for the second Monday of September. Anyway, in the meantime, here's the episode. Hope you love it. Thanks again for being here. And as always, be fearless. Hi there, and welcome to the Fearless Artist Podcast, where we empower classical musicians to build their own thriving careers. I'm your host, Michelle Lynn, and together with Deanna Petre, we teach artists to conquer the entrepreneurial side of their careers and create the futures they want.
We are 2 freelance classical musicians who have lived and worked in Europe for a decade, and together we started the Fearless Artist Mastermind, a coaching company created to teach classical musicians how to overcome fear and take action on building their dream careers.
In each episode, we will explore the intersection of artistry and entrepreneurship, teaching you the fearless mindset with practical steps and strategies to build a sustainable career.
Get ready to build your own artistic brand, find a supportive community of musicians so that you don't have to figure out everything alone, and earn a living that you deserve.
We believe that you can be a thriving artist and not a starving one, and we are redefining what it means to be a classical musician in the modern era.
Ask questions, interrupt me, raise your hand, put things in the chat, whatever you need. I want to try and put one concept in your head, and I'm going to give you some sticky phrases and some tools that you can use. One of the things I find really frustrating with education systems in general, or any kind of mentorship really, is when somebody puts out a really great idea and everybody gets fired up about it, and then there's really no follow through. There's no actionable steps you can take, or any kind of metric that you can measure what it is that you did. Did you actually get anywhere? And this is sort of the crux of this presentation today, which I'm calling the 4% rule. 1 hour a week, no excuses. I'm going to talk about what that means in a minute. Think about the last time you had a big project. Might have been a recital, or maybe applications for a school, or applications for a job or an audition, or maybe you were going to start a YouTube channel or increase your studio, whatever that business part of your life is. Think about when you decided, okay, Monday morning, 8 a.m., I'm going to hit that and get to work. How'd that go for you? Not really great, probably, right? You probably got up and said, before I start today, I think I'm just going to make a cup of coffee, because who doesn't like a cup of coffee? So you went over there and you realized, oh, there's no mugs. I probably should just run the dishwasher. And then when you open the dishwasher, you were like, oh, some of these mugs I meant to give to Goodwill. I'm going to put these in a box real quick and then put them out in the garage. And then you head out to the garage, and the shelf where the Goodwill is disorganized. You know what? Before I get to work on my project, I'm just going to quick clean the garage. You guys can relate to that, right? I know I have procrastinated like a champ. And so this idea of, are you really aligning your efforts with your goals? And I want you to really get kind of viscerally honest with yourself with that question. And a lot of you might be doing a really good job. I've had clients with whiteboards and Google planners and everything doing a really great job, but there's a lot of busy work that we get assigned in our subconscious that we think is important. Can you relate? There's another trap that I want to help you avoid today, which is what I call the shiny object trap, which is, even if you are kind of aligning your efforts with your goals, you might not be very strategic about it in terms of, do I need to create, why am I calling you out? Yeah, sorry. Hey, it's called the Honesty Pill podcast for a reason. There's this really tempting thing to like, before I launch that next program, I don't know how many of you guys are doing like online programs. I assume many of you, since you're sitting here in an online program, I'm just going to redo my website real quick, or I'm going to have to buy a new camera, or, I really should buy a new mic. By the way, I'm the worst hypocrite about this, because if you could see the ridiculous amount of tech that I like to play with, it's my drug of choice. I like technology. It's fun for me. But it's a massive distraction. You know what you need to start a successful podcast? A phone. That's all you need. If you have a phone, you can have a podcast. You do not need a soundboard and all this stuff. Am I aligning my efforts with my goals when I'm chasing shiny objects? No. Am I aligning my efforts with my goals when I'm procrastinating by doing things, out there? Nathalie says, this is me, okay on the self-discipline, but bad with strategy. Yeah. And this, by the way, this applies to musicians taking auditions big time. This is why I've actually created that course on helping people with auditions. So let's dig into this a little bit. All right. A serious conservatory student. I'm sure all of you are musicians. You've all been through the practice room situation. Let's say that you practice 3 to 5 hours a day when you're in conservatory, all right, which adds up to about 20 to 30 hours a week. That is a significant investment of what? Time and energy, right? And hopefully you're in there doing work that makes sense. Contrast, most musicians dedicate almost none of that time to their portfolio careers. What is that? Networking, project development, marketing, visibility efforts outside the practice room that will actually propel their careers in different impactful ways. So for most people, that number is actually 0. Okay, 0. Now, I'm not saying that practicing is not important. However, that mentality, listen to this, okay, really hear this. This mentality that we develop in conservatory, that spending all of your energy and time in a practice room to perfect your performance, carries over into our lives and our careers afterwards. This is a problem because it is no longer okay to just be a really great trumpet player or a really great violist or a really great pianist. You have to learn how to market yourself and become visible. I'm going to talk about that more later. So what would happen? Here's my question. This is sort of the 4% thing. What would happen if you redirected? I did the math. It's about 4% of your effort if you're putting 20 to 30 hours in the practice room. What would happen if you redirected 4% of that practice time towards your career, your portfolio career? By the way, when I say career, I'm talking about all of it. Think about that for a minute. So when I first got my job at the LA Phil, I was all practice and no system. And unfortunately, I hit a big wall because the LA Phil is probably one of the busiest orchestras in America. We have an insane schedule. You would not believe what my Google Calendar looks like. I'm running out the door to do a premiere right after this is over. It's crazy. I got endless repertoire, pressure, and my practice focus started to crack. First came burnout, and then boredom. This is a terrible place to be, you guys. I thought I had my dream job, and I'm burnt out and bored. That's when I discovered something that I actually love to do, which is audition coaching. It's interesting. I always thought I wanted an orchestra job. Turns out what I like to do is create community. I figured this out because I discovered, like, what is it that I have to focus on that can make the biggest change? What moves the needle for me in the practice room and in my business? And here's something you're probably going to not like the sound of this, but I'm going to say it anyway. For me, the thing that moved the needle in my business and in my practice room was MMAs, money-making activities. And if that phrase made you cringe, good. Here's a newsflash. If you're a musician, you're in sales. You have to learn how to market yourself. You have to learn how to become visible. You have to convince people why they should care. Okay, so all of this is to say, this is not about practicing less. It's not about working less. It's about working with more focus and avoiding the pitfalls of distraction, shiny objects, and knowing that you can maintain this level of activity without getting burned out. All right, I want to give you a key phrase here. Actually, we already talked about this a little bit, but this is basically what we just talked about. 15 to 30 hours of practice, practically nothing for portfolio careers. Here's your phrase: 1 hour equals one open door. By the way, one of the things, let me just got to admit this to you. So one of the ways that I focus my actions with my goals for this presentation is I used AI to help me generate this slideshow. And I don't want to talk about whether AI is good or bad. That's another conversation for a different session. However, the photos that this thing created for this are absolutely hilarious. And I can't wait to show you the three-handed violist or violinist, and it's some good stuff. So that's your humor right there. 1 hour equals one open door. So what I'm suggesting is that maybe you can spend that 1 hour in 10-minute increments over 6 days. Possible, right? Totally easy. So here's a question for you guys. What is the fear that comes up in terms of becoming visible? If I asked you to get out there and really become visible 10 minutes a day, 6 days a week, 1 hour a week, what sort of fears come about? Talking about social media, coming out as a coach. What's fearful? Why are you hearing, oh no, is somebody frozen? Oh dear.
No, the Love is an Open Door song.
Oh, love is an open door. Oh, awesome. Okay, Dana writes being judged. Oh, wow, holy cow. Esther wrote judgment. Grenady wrote rejection. Totally, guys. If people think that you're posting about yourself, that means you're bragging. Or if you're sharing something that's not perfect, people will think less of you. Somebody told me, get this, you want to hear this? When I had principal and associate principal jobs my whole career. When I got my second trumpet job in the LA Phil, I had a colleague tell me that I was quitting the trumpet by becoming a section player. That's the level of lunacy and scrutiny people will put if you step outside your box. You know that crabs in a pot thing, right? If there are a bunch of crabs in a pot and one crab starts to crawl out and get to the top, the other crabs will actually pull that crab back down. It's a real thing. Why do they do that? Because they don't want anything to change. They're fearful. Keep the status quo. Everybody stay where they belong. You're not going to climb out. So I guarantee you right now, if you start to step into this visibility, align your efforts with your goals, and really start to get something done, guess what's going to happen? You're going to start moving. And your colleagues, some of them aren't going to like it. I had so many people give me a hard time about becoming a coach. Hey, Chris, are you a life coach now? What's the honesty pill? Literally, I got so much razzing. Trumpet players are real special. So I got a lot of razzing from my colleagues. Guess what? During the pandemic, when the LA Phil shut down and we had a massive pay cut, guess who was working 40 hours a week from a cabin in Colorado? Because I had created this online thing. Not only that, not only was it my actual lifeline, I had the best time. I had so much fun. That's where my business actually took off, was during the pandemic. So I want you to just put this all into context as we keep talking about this stuff. Okay, let's do a quick experiment. Oh, wow, it's already 12 after. I'm going to flip the script. By the way, I have a really good PDF on flipping the script on a limiting assumption. If you guys want it, I'll send it to Michelle. Let's flip the script on a fear sentence. I'll give you the example. If I post about myself, people will think I'm bragging. If I post about myself, people will think I'm bragging. All right, I'm going to give you the counter belief. Ready? Sharing is progress. It helps people connect. It's not bragging, it's inviting them in. Okay, how about this one? I saw somebody write this in the chat. I'll be judged. Okay, here's your example fear sentence. If I share something imperfect, people will notice and think less of me. Okay, counter belief. And by the way, Michelle knows this totally. People are busy. No one is actually thinking about you this much. They'll either appreciate what you did or scroll past. Either way, you have lost nothing. Michelle, I know you're my hero. You post so often. And so like walking down the street with a cup of coffee, that is getting over that fear. Okay, here's one more, and then we're going to move on. I don't have time to align my efforts with my goals. If I add career work, it's going to cut into my practice or my family time or my sleep or whatever. I'm asking you for 1 hour, less than 1% of your actual week. You can find that if you're willing to calibrate that and make it work. Okay. I'm going to give you some micro actions you can actually do now. Okay, we did that.
Hey everybody, real quick, I just want to say that if you are struggling to post on Instagram, first of all, you are not alone. Most musicians are sitting there scrolling and not knowing what they would actually post about. Second of all, if that's you, then I have a free gift for you. It is our free guide, 10 golden rules to posting on Instagram as a classical musician. If you follow these 10 rules, you will grow, you will get more followers, you will get more views, you will know what hashtags to use, you will write captions that are interesting, and you will build an audience. And guess what a bigger audience gives you? More concerts. That's right, everybody. So all you need to do is DM us on Instagram at the Fearless Artist Mastermind. Just write golden and we will send you our free guide. Hope you love it and thanks for listening.
So here's your micro actions. I want you to, and you can do this offline if you're watching this recording later, break your career goals down into small, manageable tasks that you can actually measure. For example, did I send a single email to my list today? Did I post something on social media? It doesn't even have to be social, by the way. You could post a practice clip on Instagram with like a sentence. Hey, working on the Don Juan again today, or trying to get my 16ths in the Midsummer Night's Dream ironed out. That right there is increasing your visibility. But I promise you, you're going to run into those fears. So just get used to it. Here's another micro action you can do. Email a past teacher or mentor just to check in, share an update. Just talking to that person is going to infuse you with energy and help you focus. You can share a behind the scenes photo. Everybody loves behind the scenes stuff. Share that on social media. You can call a colleague and talk about collaborating on a chamber piece. Maybe light some candles around your piano, right? Do something that people can recognize. Here's my favorite one. Send gratitude back and forth. So look, just to remind you, I'm talking about aligning your actions with your goals. And I'm talking about send a thank you note to somebody who supported you recently. There's a fluency and a currency in this type of energy. And I want to talk about you getting aligned in that as you're doing this work. Okay. Okay. Here's another sticky sentence for you. One action can create 3 outcomes. So if I am practicing and I am using a practice chart and then I post that on Instagram, I've done one thing and I've recycled it 3 times. This is really important too. Consistency beats intensity. That's another sticky phrase for you. That might be the biggest takeaway I can give you today. I want you to create a reality check career edition playlist where you're saying, here's what I want to accomplish. Here's what I actually accomplished. What's a good example of that? You can do this right now. Write down your last 5 things you did for your career, for your portfolio career. What are the last 5 things you did? Okay, I wrote an email. I made a post on Instagram. I had a conversation. Write it down on a piece of paper. Now, look at that piece of paper. If it's blank, your visibility is blank. Let me repeat that. Write down the last 5 things you did for your business. Maybe this week, maybe this month. Look at it. If it's blank, your visibility is blank. In fact, if you can't name 5 people right now who know what you're working on right now, you're invisible. I know people who are on my mailing list that don't know about the Audition Accelerator. Man, I really try hard to get that communicated, but sometimes there's a lot going on. Like I said, people are busy. Here's another key phrase for you. Write this down. Tracking creates traction. Tracking creates traction. Michelle says, I have people complaining when they don't know I'm performing in the city. Hey, look, when I was principal trumpet in the Charleston Symphony, there was a Starbucks next to the concert hall. And we used to wear tails. And I went in there with my tails to get a coffee before the show one night. And the barista said, hey, are you getting married? I said, no, there's a concert starting in 20 minutes. He's like, what concert? I said, the Charleston Symphony. He said, oh, I didn't realize we had an orchestra. I'm like, we share a wall with you guys. Anyway, you got to be visible to people, okay? It's your job. Nobody's coming to find you, by the way. It's your job to be an advocate. This is part of your portfolio career. This is part of your 4% work every day. Be visible. Be an advocate. Tell people why should they care. They're not going to come looking for you. You know that if you build it, they will come thing? How many of you guys have created a group program and then had terrible enrollment? That could be because you had a terrible idea. I doubt it. I bet you had a really great idea. I just bet you didn't actually do the work to make people know about it. Okay. I just want to say one more thing about this 1 effort, 3 results thing. Let me see. I already talked about this. Recycle, okay? If you want to align your efforts with your goals and spend less time and get more done, and remember, I'm asking you for 10 focused, strategic, impactful work a day, 10 minutes a day on your business over 6 days. If you actually recycle a lot of the work that you're doing, this is going to become so easy. I do office hours every week in Audition Accelerator. When somebody asks me a great question like, how should I know if I should take this audition or not? I'm scared. I'm not sure I'm ready for it. I turn that into a blog. I turn that into a post on Instagram. I turn that into a PDF that I can hand out to everybody at the next session. By the way, yeah, Bernhard says you need to talk to people about what's going on, even your barista, especially your barista. They're the ones that are making the concert work because you got the caffeine. Okay, so 1 effort, 3 results.
That's good.
All right, let me see. How are we doing on time? I think I'm going to skip over to this. This is the final question here, which is
You're doing so great. You can take all the time you need.
okay. Well, I want to hear from people too, though, because I want to see how this was bouncing off of you. So let's take a minute or two just to journal for a second, okay? And I'm going to stop talking for I'm going to start a timer. I'm going to start a timer for myself. I'm going to sit here for a full 2 minutes, and I want you to answer the question: if you had 1 hour this week to put towards your career, your portfolio career, what would you do? And you can use any of the examples we've covered. Okay, ready? Go. You have 2 minutes. I'm going to sit here. Tracking creates traction. We could come up with a way to track. 1 effort, 3 results. Facing those fears. One hour equals 1 open door. Oh, good. You're putting in the chat. Love it. Yeah, exactly. Subliminal messaging audio. I'm available for nighttime meditations. If you just drift off to sleep while I talk about marketing. Okay, you have less than a minute. Write 2 more things down, even if you're done. Oh, interesting, Bernard. I love that. Great. Bernard's writing some great stuff in the chat. 20 seconds. Okay. I'd like to invite anybody who wants to unmute. Maybe you guys can manage that for me and share the 1 or 2 things you're going to do for your business this week. That's going to be the hour. And I can read some of these from the chat too, but who wants to just raise their hand and be brave?
I can read something.
Okay, go for it.
I will read just my list. Follow up on my funeral event managers to sing more. I can approach event managers on Instagram or websites. I can contact a specific person where I want to work with. She has a great network already, doing a lot. Contact another lead DO pianist. Post my photography. Post a certain post. I have in total 9 to-dos.
Okay, great job. Can you please reread your first action item one more time for us, please? Just the first one.
Follow up on my funeral email to, I don't know the translation for it, but the people who organize funerals.
Yeah, cool. So let's take this one for an example. Really good job, by the way. I'm giving you tons of appreciation for writing that down. I know these things are not easy, but I'm gonna make a prediction, and forgive me for saying this. I don't feel like that's a very actionable goal because it's not incredibly specific.
Mm.
Can you get even more specific in terms of follow up is a very generic term. it's a hard to enforce, and it's certainly hard to metric. What does that mean, follow up? You could be more specific and break that down into something that would have a very easy, frictionless activity that would still get you moving forward. Can you sort of morph that into a more specific, pretend that you're telling me, your assistant, what you want me to do. I don't know what to follow up on. I don't know what you want me to ask. I don't even know what method. Am I sending a telegram? How are we doing this? Tell me as though I'm your assistant. How would you want me to go about that task?
Send 10 emails back to the email. I wrote 10 emails and responds to them again. Like, yeah, now you can check it.
Who are we sending these to?
Sorry?
Who are we sending the emails to? What's the person's name?
I have it in my network list.
Okay. So like, I want this to become so visceral for you that your action item, because we only have 10 minutes per day if we're doing this, breaking it up, to be like, email Michelle, follow up about the candlelight concert, find out how many candles I'm supposed to bring. Is it 150 or 3,000? I can't remember. That's a very specific question you can follow up. And I can say to my assistant, come back from Michelle with a number. I need to know the exact number. And then I want you to come back and say 347. Actually, there's probably more than that. 3,000 candles. Okay, that's going to be actionable, because then you can go to Amazon or the candle store and buy what you need. You're going to realize, oh, I need a car to put those in, bring them there. What time do I have to set all those up? It's going to cascade into another small 1% thing you can do, but I only want you to do one part of it at a time. If the follow-up is, if the action item is follow up with the funeral director, it's going to get lost because it's not specific and it's hard to do that as an action. Okay, really good job on that. But I want you to make those a little bit more SMART goals and see if you can get those specific. Okay.
You've
Does
also
that make sense? Cool.
Is it Yulika? Did I say it right?
Yes, thanks. Thank you for the inputs. It's very, very exciting. Yeah, so I thought about what I would do in an hour like that. And for me, it's always very important to also leave some time for dreaming, which I really don't have so much time when I just follow what is urgent.
Yep.
So dreaming for me means reconnecting with the why. Why am I doing what I'm doing? And what can I envision for myself in the future? So I would really love to spend some of that time in the hour, maybe 15 minutes, to do that, make a little like mind map or something like that. And then also I would want to create a plan for my social media, for Instagram. Another thing I wrote down is researching agencies, because I haven't really touched that topic yet so much. I'm a singer. And also to get in contact with festivals, to do some cold contacting.
Cool.
Because I have some nice projects on my list.
You said a really
my website.
Oh, good. Not careful with that one. That's a trap, that one. Anyway, by the way, my first coach, who literally brought me to 6 figures in my business within 7 months of working with her, didn't even have a website when I met her. So yes, you need a website. As a business coach, I would say you need a website. However, you don't need a website. Like, it's not that's another conversation. Point being, don't get stuck on redoing your website. Okay, you said a really interesting word that I want to highlight here, which is urgency. You said there's a sense of urgency, or you even mentioned that that's a thing. So I want to be honest with you right now, with everybody in here. The reason that I'm so hung up and I'm such a big advocate for alignment with efforts for your goals and doing no more than 4% of my effort on those specified things is building a business that is going to be more than a hobby for you is going to require 2 very important things. Leading with service is the number 1 motivation for you as a business owner. Leading with service. How can I show up for the world? What can I bring? And I don't mean that as like, I'm so fancy and special. What can I bring to the world? No, it's how can I meet people where they are? Leading with service every single time. And the second thing is you're going to have to hustle. You are going to have to do the work, and you're going to have to get very, 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 very uncomfortable. This is the fear part. These are the squirrels that run around your brain when you actually start to get visible. So what can happen when you are leading with service because you have passion about this and you're getting very uncomfortable because you're putting yourself out there is urgency. Urgency is like performance anxiety. It means that you care. It's actually kind of a great thing. However, we need to learn how to manage that and hone it so that it can create something. So I want to give you some big appreciation for mentioning leave time in your action to goals activities for dreaming and relaxation and recharging. What's your number one resource, you people? What's your number one resource, everybody? It's not how fancy your website is. It's not how expensive your coach is. It's not how many hours you practice. It's not if you have a $13 million cello. Your number one resource is your enthusiasm. And that has to be protected at all costs because all of this falls apart. Your alignment, your 4% work, your work in the practice room will be disconnected if you don't maintain your enthusiasm. So huge appreciation for you for mentioning dreaming as an important tool. And also you're acknowledging that there is a sense of urgency around these goals. Okay, that was a really good answer. Thanks for that. Okay, who's next? I see some hands up here.
We've got Natalie.
Okay, Natalie? Natalie, are you there?
Oh, you're on mute. There you go.
Okay. Wow. I just clicked it. I said, thank you for your energy. You're doing wonders for my brain.
Thank you.
I wrote down, we're on a new sleeping schedule and we're getting up more early. So catching up on sleep or like getting used to that and continue the physical therapy that I'm doing because I'm noticing that it's really helping keeping the energy up. I just bought 2 courses on booking an album release because I am releasing my very first album very soon. So I want to spend time this week working through those courses. And that's on my calendar. Okay. The next big one is the I work on a new video series for my patrons and I want to get part of that out on YouTube. I only need the little intro video and then render it, put it up. But I need a plan on what's going to be the difference between what's on Patreon and what's on YouTube. And that's still a bit unclear to me, but it's also going to hopefully help with the album builds. And so that's at least on your list.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Anything else?
I had 2 small updates for the calendar on my website and my repertoire list, but that's finally updated because that's been neglected for a while.
Brilliant. Thanks for sharing that. So I'm going to give you a piece of guidance, if I may, about the 2 courses that you just bought. I have some very affordable courses and I have some stunningly expensive programs.
Mm-hmm.
I have had people pay for my stunningly expensive programs and show up practically not at all and do absolutely no work despite the community and the accountability that I offer and get 0 results. And I have one of those clients I'm thinking of where I email him regularly saying, how's it going? How can I show up for you today? How can we move the needle? 0 things are happening. I don't know why. So what the trap that he fell into is buying a course as the solution to the challenge that he was working on. By the way, his was hugely around visibility. He's a brilliant teacher. And just needs to get visible and he will be able to retire if he wants to, but hasn't done the work. The advice for you is when you buy a course, the first thing you should do before you even open the course is to map, calendar block your schedule to allow yourself the time like it's a doctor's appointment or a performance that you will show up and watch the modules, do the work, whatever the format your courses are. Book them before you even open the course. Make the time, create the space. If you create the space, what you need will come into the space. I could go an hour and a half on Woo Zone about alignment with energy. Here's another sort of thing that's tangential to what we're talking about. When I have business clients, one of the first things I tell them to do before we even create a website or come up with a brand name is open a bank account for your business. Really? I just started this. I'm like, yeah, I know. Open a bank account. Why? Because if there is a bank account there that says Honesty Pill Coaching, it's just beautiful and empty and ready to be filled with funds that I have traded for the leading with service that I like to do. And it creates a space. So I want you to do that in your calendar with time. The two most important resources you have after your enthusiasm are time and money, right? So I want you to be really smart about how you manage that. So book time to do those courses before you even start them. I want you to finish those courses. The bane of being a course creator, and anybody in this room that has made a course can agree, is when people don't finish it. You know why that stinks? Because first of all, they didn't get the benefit, and my lead with service didn't really work because I'm like, oh, they didn't get the result that I wanted. And the second reason it stinks is now I can't ask them for an amazing testimonial and put that on my website or in my next email sequence. So you want people to finish your courses. So make sure that you do that as a student. Great. Really good. Okay. Who's next? This is excellent, guys. Keep it coming.
Kristen, go ahead.
Yes. So I wrote it down. I will write a blog article for my website, which I will put in my newsletter, and on LinkedIn, which I will then recycle for Instagram and so on. And thank you so much for mentioning urgency, because I came up with a title for this blog. So it's Why I Love Voices and How I Make Them Heard.
Can you repeat that one more time?
Why I love voices and how I make them heard.
That's beautiful. What is this? What is the space that you work in?
The space, I'm a singer, I'm an actress, and I'm a voice coach. So it's all about voices.
I love that. Colleague of mine, Helene Anderson, who was one of my podcast guests, season 2, I think, wrote a book called We Are All Meant to Sing. And I remember when I heard that title, I thought, what are the fear squirrels that appear when we talk about that type of exposure and visibility and vulnerability? And it was, I don't sing. I'm not a singer. I'm a trumpet player. I don't sing. But everybody sings in the shower or in the car, right? So it was an interesting thing. I love that your blog is going to be titled that, because I think it's an important thing for all people. Look, we can definitely talk about the world today and how your voice is so important. And so this is not just music. It's a way of connecting and communicating and creating community. And it's probably more critical now than ever that we make sure we make space for people's voices. So I love that. That's fantastic.
And I make everyone know about my new website. Here it is.
Where's your new website? Did you post it? What's it called?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Wow. That's a good one. That's a difficult one to spell, but we'll get it. All right, cool. Everybody go check out this website. It's in the chat right now. Kelly wrote Fear Squirrels. Just fear. That's a great band name, actually. Fear Squirrels. Gotta write that down. Time and social network. I never think of enthusiasm. Oh yeah, come on. If you don't have enthusiasm, you're toast. Just looking at the chat. And then is there anybody else with a hand up before I go into these chat things, Michelle?
I am not seeing any other hands. Do we have any other questions? Any other specific
Question comment for me. So you're talking about 6% of your time, which is like 10 minutes a day. And I think this might be something a lot of people are thinking about. In those 10 minutes, how do you plan what you're going to do? Do you recommend predetermining that the night before so that you sit down and you don't spend 2 minutes thinking, what am I going to do?
Kind of. Okay, this is a really great question. So I love technology, and my entire family and work business revolves around the Google Calendar. Let's see if I can do this on the fly here. I think I probably can. Let's see. I'm going to show you my Google Calendar. Actually, before I show you this, I'll tell you why I'm showing you this. No, I don't recommend you doing this the night before. I recommend that you pick a day of the week where you take yourself out on a date with your planner, whatever that is, if it's Google or a paper journal, and plan out your week. Helicopter view. Have you ever gone grocery shopping when you were hungry?
Yeah, it's a bad idea.
How'd that work out for you? A lot of cookies, a lot of carbs, a lot of stuff, not a lot of produce. So if you do your grocery list for the week or 2 weeks or whatever, on a day where you just had a very healthy meal, maybe you just went to the gym and you're feeling really body positive and aligned with your goals about your nutrition and your working out, you're going to make much more, intelligent decisions about the food that you buy. I feel like if you do it the night before, two things are going to happen. You're going to go to bed with sort of a racing brain. I'd rather you meditate every night, to be honest with you, or do some mantra work than work on your schedule for the next day. But allow yourself a specific time. Maybe it's Sunday night at 6 p.m. You're going to go to your favorite coffee shop, wine bar, whatever, library, I don't care, mountain seat, and do an hour of planning work for the week. Understanding that you're only going to give yourself this minimum viable product, the smallest amount of time you can generate this work. That is how I do it. Now, that leads to, well, then what am I actually doing in that hour? I like to do calendar blocking. And for those of you who aren't familiar, I have a whole video on this, and I can't wait for November. Everything is going to be revamped. Yes, that's a shiny object for me. I heard myself say it, but I'm doing it anyway because I love it. A video about calendar blocking, which means put the things in that are immovable, then put in the things that are somewhat movable, and then put in the things that are just ridiculous and not important. Here's what my calendar looks like. And when I show this to my clients, somebody told me they had heart palpitations when they saw this. Okay, so I don't know if you can actually see this because it's in the past, but the red stuff is LA fill. Can't move it. I can't move this stuff. This is fixed. Here's a gig that I said yes to because I had time. I had to take my dog to the vet. That was something I could schedule whenever I wanted to. Make appointments for stuff, blah, 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 blah. Here's my office hours. I get to choose where the office hours go. So these are purple. I did a mock audition over here. So I basically put in things the week before and know when those things are going to be happening. You may choose to do a paper journal. I'm also a fan of the Passion Planner. It's a paper journal called the Passion Planner, which literally aligns your goals with your passions, with your big things that you care about. But I recommend doing them in a very significant blocked out way and then forget about it. Hope that helps.
Awesome. That was very helpful, very insightful. And I've definitely had that racing brain thing where I'm like, okay, if I sit down right before I sleep, I will have that racing brain, harder to get to sleep.
Yeah. You will wake up in the same mindset you went to sleep with. So I really recommend evening meditations. There's so many great apps if you need a guided meditation.
Great. There's one other thing a comment I wanted to highlight from before, and I think it was Analotta had said, a fear was that if you show to the world that you were doing things other than performing, that people will think that you were not a success at your instrument and that you are maybe, let's say, a failure, and just because you're branching out and doing other things that you're interested in and passionate about.
Right.
How do you deal with that? How do you just say like, okay, I don't care what everyone else thinks?
Well, to say I don't care about what anyone else thinks is not an honest statement. Of course we care about what other people think. We're human beings. We're creatures of community. We do care about what other people think. But the difference is we don't get to let them decide things for us. And that's the fine line. I'll share with you one little concept from one of my favorite books. One of the books literally was one of the first books I ran out and rebought after my house burned down in January, which is Elizabeth Gilbert, Big Magic. If you haven't read this book and you're a creative person, you're missing out on a beautiful resource. And it's a great audio book too, because if you like audio, Elizabeth Gilbert reads the book. It's beautiful. And here's the concept one of the concepts that really resonates with me. If you are going on the journey of self-discovery and mastery, whether that's becoming a soloist or creating a business or tweaking your studio, whatever your big goal is, think of it like a road trip. You're going to pack your bags. You're going to invite some friends. You're going to fuel up the car. You're going to have a map and some GPS coordinates or whatever to get there. And we're going to leave Sunday morning at 7 a.m. You all gather by the car, right? And when you show up, you're like, oh, I see you're here. And it's fear. And you say, well, I guess you're coming for the ride. There's no sense in asking you to stay behind because I know you're going to come anyway. So get in the car. Oh, but by the way, fear, you don't get to talk to me about the air conditioning. You don't get to complain about where we stop for food. You don't even get to choose the music that plays on the radio. But you know what, dude? The most important thing is you are not allowed to drive. That's how I handle that comment.
This is so helpful too for audition preps. I've had the same exact scenario in relationship to audition nerves. Yeah.
Yep.
Love that.
want to, I made a slide for wrap up, so I'm going to share it with you just so you can have a picture of it. Also, I have a PDF, like a little cheat sheet. I'll send it to you. You don't have to write all this stuff down, but this is everything that I kind of covered here. I'll send it to you later. But let's just wrap this up. Here's your sticky phrases to remember. 1 hour equals 1 open door. Tracking creates traction. 1 effort, 3 results. There's a recycling. And this is the last thing that I haven't really talked about, but this is really important for auditioners. This is like a critical part is every time you fail up. Every time you put effort into something, learn something from it. It's a puzzle piece that you're collecting. And every puzzle piece, if you think about an actual puzzle, I hate doing those in real life, actually. I like to do things that are like them. I hate doing puzzles because I find them frustrating. But the nice thing is once you get to the end, there's like 4 more pieces. How easy is it for those last 4 pieces to go in? So easy, right? Because the picture is really clear. I'll give you all the slides that I used for sure. But if you have a big jumbled mess, think about when you dump a puzzle out of the box onto the table. There's like pieces that are even upside down, right? You can't put that together until you flip all the pieces over. So your 4% action is to flip the pieces over so they're all facing the right way. That's the kind of work I want you to bring to your portfolio career. Not chasing the shiny objects, not giving into the fear and letting it direct how you work, but being strategic and aligned and honest with yourself. And by the way, the best thing you can do for this is to get a coach or an accountability partner that can see you and see you with clarity.
Thank you so much.
Anything else, you guys?
All right. Go ahead.
No, I mean, I just want to hear how everybody's feeling. Like, give an emoji or some in the comments. Like, let's do a quick kind of takeaways because we just got totally annihilated by Chris's energy and enthusiasm. And that
was my goal, to annihilate.
I am ready to jump up and start running laps around the house here. So, how are we all feeling? And what's the takeaway that's coming? Just throw it up in the chat.
Someone wrote, "I too hate puzzles." I love that. By the way, you guys can find me honestypill.com. Jump on my newsletter if you want. I don't do a lot of business coaching these days right now. I'm focusing everything on Audition Accelerator. However, anybody, this is an open and honest invitation, not a marketing thing. If anybody here would like to hop on a call with me to just follow up on any of this or dig deeper on this, totally available for that. It's a free thing if you're a subscriber. So go to my website, get on my mailing list. You'll get an invitation to book a call. Totally happy to do that for anybody, especially friends of this crew. So
amazing. You're so valuable to us, and we just totally respect and honor that you got up so early before a big day premiere at LA Phil. And we're getting some great comments. Enthusiasm is the most important asset. This was awesome. Got clarity, nuggets of wisdom, standing ovation, cool. Leading with service. Yeah, definitely. I think I'm going to take you up on that 101, Chris. You'll be hearing from me.
Oh, anytime, for sure.
Yep. All right. Thank you so much for being here today.
All right, everybody. Enjoy the rest of the session and good luck. Go get some coffee. What time is it there? Well, you guys are all over the place probably, right?
All over the place.
Yeah.
I'm in Minneapolis, but we have a lot of people over in Europe.
Awesome.
More North regions coming on. 6 p.m. and I've just finished 8 hours of the Fearless Marathon with 3 more to go. So
wow. Well, congratulations for putting this together. You guys are in really great hands here. And I hope you get a lot more information today. And I really appreciate getting the chance to spend some time with you today.
Thank you for listening to the Fearless Artist Podcast. If you found today's episode inspiring, hit that subscribe button and don't forget to share this podcast with a friend. To join our membership or one of our coaching programs, visit our website at thefearlessartistmastermind.com. This episode was produced by Pokey Huang at phMediaStudios in New York City. We're Deanna and Michelle, encouraging you to create your own opportunities and to go after what you want. You have what it takes to build the career of your dreams. Until next time, be fearless.